Today we'll be looking at Chapter 3, Lesson 3, and we're going to go ahead and open project. So we want to navigate to Lesson 03 and say Open. Since we're working with a newer version of Adobe Premiere, the book is at 2020 and you're probably in a newer version of Premiere. You're going to see this convert project and it's going to become Lesson 03_1, and that's perfectly okay. Say okay. The chapter is also requesting that we go up to here and save it as a new project. So save as, and we want to name it like the book is asking. So we're going to change it to My Lesson 03. And then you don't have to add the .proj. It is down here as the file type. And when you say save, it is applied. So you've now opened the file that we're going to be working with. And we're going to be talking about importing clips, which is different than ingesting. So importing is basically linking back to wherever your clips might be. As far as in your Finder window, we have all our assets and our video and audio files that was provided with the book, so they do live in there. The files that are brought in that end up in your project panel, they are going to be referred to as clips. And there are multiple ways to get them into Premiere. And also, because we are just linking to them and we're not actually bringing them into Premiere, they're non-destructive. And what non-destructive means is if we choose to trim the front or the back or only choose pieces from each clip to put into our timeline, it won't actually change your original file. It's only going to change what is existing in our timeline. If you go back to your Finder window and the files that you find there, they will still be the full length. They're not going to be shorter because we made changes in the timeline instead. All right, so one of the ways the book is talking about is we can go to our media browser panel. So this here is the tab for media browser. If you click that, it acts very similar to a Finder window. I have all my drives. I can navigate to where I need to be. So I know I want to go to my E drive, and if we go back to Premiere Pro, Lessons, and then I want to find the video folder. And if you get to one that you don't want, you can use your arrow keys to go back up here or forward. And I actually want to be in assets. So now video and audio files. And if I click into these further, you'll see I get preview thumbnails. If you hover over them, it gives you a little bit more. As I move left to right, it kind of scrubs through the clips themselves. So at this point, I now have a preview of what I'm trying to bring in. And what I can do is just left click on the clip I need and drag it straight over to the timeline. So based on the settings we started with for this sequence, and it's whatever they had built for us, and we've chosen some as we've created our own sequences, this piece of footage does not match the settings that are in this timeline sequence. So if I know most of my footage is going to have all the same settings, I want to go ahead and say change sequence settings. If this clip was smaller or bigger than all the rest of the footage and I knew my timeline was good, I'd say keep existing settings. So this is a decision you will have to make each time depending on when it comes up. You can also uncheck this so you don't always have it ask. I like it to ask because if I have an error with my footage, I'd like to know about it. So I'm going to go ahead and change sequence settings so now it matches this video clip that I just brought in. So you can navigate them through here. Also, this here icon will let you pick the different file types that are supported, and you can, if you know you're looking for a specific type such as an MPEG movie or let's see, a bitmap, you can just choose the ones that you want to look for. Right now I have all supported files chosen, and that's fine too. But that's a way to kind of minimize if you have a lot of data to look through and you're looking for a very specific file and having trouble finding it. Okay, The other thing that you can do is you have a check mark here for ingest, which is different than import. That's the one where we were talking about making copies, and this here will be a quick way to get you back to the project settings and your ingest settings here as well. You would turn that on, and then you would come down here and choose your settings, but we don't need that, so I'm going to hit cancel. All right. So another way to get a clip in. Oh, and one other thing about the media browser. So I drug it from here and I put it into the timeline. However, now if I go back to my project, and this is kind of where your bin, all your clips live, your sequences, you can see that Multicam 04 clip has showed up here. So it just made a link to this original footage that we were seeing. So that's what we're seeing in the project panel. Okay, so second way, we come up here to File, and you want to come down to Import, or Control-I is the shortcut, or I believe it's Command-I on the Mac. And you will open up, it's basically a navigation window, and you can find the files that you're interested in. We'll just try, I guess we'll get another bike clip. So say Open. And now it imported that file, and it's right there. Depending on how long these files are, if you look down here to the bottom right and you're bringing in a long file, you might see it processing additional peak data, and that's going into some of those autosave folders that you have. Okay, and our last way to bring something in is what we've seen in Chapter 1, where we just chose the navigation window or the Finder window, and we picked the folder we needed, and I could get several shots. So I could click here, hold shift, and click 4 clips over, and I can take all 4 at one time and click and drag them and bring them in. Let's see. I already have the bikes rise into frame. If I don't want one of them, if I hold control, I can deselect it. Now I just have the 3, and I can drag them right over. And it also, you saw there was an import process bar. Depending on how long the videos are, they may take longer to bring in. But again, these are all links linking back to those files. And those were the different ways that you can get files in. One of the other things that the book talked about was those ingest settings. So if we go back to our media browser and pull them back up, when this is engaged, it comes up with different settings. And one of the things it wanted us to talk about is if we chose proxies, you can see here the presets change. And whatever one shows up here gives you a pretty lengthy summary about the file type. Your biggest challenge when making proxies is making sure you choose the correct one as far as your preset, so that way your footage matches the proxy. So if you have to add graphics or text to it, that the stuff is still placed correctly when you relink back to your original footage. So that's something to be mindful of if you're working with proxies, is this preset to match your actual original footage. The book is telling us to just hit cancel, but we talked about it.